while he's on the ground. Pike County Commission work session come to order. Opening, Mr. Evans is here for our public hearing for our CDBG grant. So there's a sign-up sheet on the back table on this side. We asked that everyone would sign that. Evan, you got something?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Evan Cruz, representing the Pike County Commission. This is an informal public hearing concerning a possible application by the Commission to the state of Alabama for a Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG. The state can grant up to $250,000 under the Community Enhancement Fund. This fund can be used to provide funding for eligible activities that communities consider important to enhance the community in a manner that is beyond providing for the more basic and essential needs, or for any other eligible CDBG activity. Example of these activities include emergency 911 telephone service, fire protection, senior centers, Boys and Girls Club, recreational facilities, historic preservation, downtown or neighborhood revitalizations, and community centers. State can also grant up to $350,000 to the Commission to fund eligible CDBG projects, including following activities: acquisition and disposition of real property, construction and renovation of public facilities, building and housing code enforcement in connection with reversing the decline of the neighborhood, clearance, demolition, removal, and rehabilitation of public and private buildings and improvements, public services under very limited conditions rarely applicable to small cities and rural counties, rehabilitation of certain kinds of public housing, certain types of community planning under a special fund of money, certain types of economic development activities under a special fund of money, and economic development loan guarantees under Section 108. This hearing is to inform everyone the Pike County Commission is considering submitting an application for CDBG funds to pave County Road 2256 and resurface County Road 7749. Should the Commission choose to submit an application for a CDBG grant, it will be available for citizen review and comment at the Office of the County Administrator after July 31st, 2018. Should the Commission be successful in obtaining a grant, citizens will be provided an opportunity to comment on any substantial changes in the use of funds during the project implementation. Citizens will be given reasonable access to the records of any past use of CDBG funds by the Commission, as well as records associated with this proposed project. If you have any questions, comments, or opinions you would like to bring up now, please let them be known. Okay. Thank you for coming. That's the public hearing.
Thank you, bud. Thanks for being here. Anyone heard from Mr. Upchurch?
I spoke to him to get some final information put together for them to bring us tonight. I texted him just as we started, so I don't know if they've run into some kind of difficulty. But I hadn't got a
That's fine. We'll move on to our extension service with Miss Katie Thomas. Hello, Ms. Katie.
Katie Thomas with Pike County Extension Office. Thank you guys, as always, for your generous support, because with your help, we're able to bring programs that are important to people here in Pike County. And with that being said, we are currently in the midst of our grassroots survey. We do that every year. We send that out, and it has questions on everything from horticulture and forages to financial management and youth development. So we appreciate, commissioners, if you have already filled out that link to the survey, we thank you. If you haven't, I have paper copies with me. I also have, to anyone else attending the meeting, if you're interested in giving us our feedback to help direct what we do for the county, I have a sheet back there where you can put your name and email address, and I will gladly send that out to you. My goal is to get 200 of those surveys completed, and year to date we're at 190. So 10 more. Help me out. Sign your name, please. That does really steer what we do across the county, and we use that feedback to design programs that we do on every level. If there's anything that the Commission is particularly interested in seeing us help you accomplish, this is the time to let us know so we can steer our programs that direction. We do want to invite each of you to our grassroots meeting. We have an in-person meeting on August 15th at 12 o'clock at the Colley Senior Complex. I have, my admin has since left. She had a baby and decided to stay home. Can't blame her one bit. And I have a list from last year, so I'm assuming that all of your contact information is the same. If that's not the case, I'll reach out to Mackenzie and make sure that I get a formal invitation to you. It is open to the public. For anyone who would like to come, just contact our office and we'll get your name on that registration. That is August 15th at 12 o'clock. Since we're on the subject of grassroots survey, some of the feedback from this year so far that I've seen is that people want more 4-H time and a more wholesome agent as an example. And with that being said, we currently have an opening for our 4-H agent. That job is only going to be posted through July 19th. So if you have anyone you feel would be a particularly good candidate and might be interested, steer them towards our website for more information. But it's important for you guys to know that that agent is only going to serve Pike County. And I know it's getting that time of year where you're looking at your allocations for everything. And so I just wanted to give you a reminder that the funding that you give us, a large part of it goes towards our temporary employment agent, Miss Esther, and she delivers the 4-H program to 460 students across Pike County right now, and we'll be expanding her at Troy Elementary to reach out to 5th and 6th grade students as well, so her number will be closer to 700, and that's a position that we would not be able to have if it weren't for that funding that you give us. So we are excited about those changes and very excited that we are going to have an agent only serving in Pike County. Our last one, we had to split the time between Crenshaw and Pike, and so it really left something to be desired in the amount of interactions we had with the children. Youth development is a critical part of what we do, and we're very lucky that we're going to be able to fill that here and have an agent devoted just to our county. We're also in the process of hiring an admin. We have been reaching out to and applying for different grants to help supplement some of those programs that we're doing. We hope to hear back on the biggest one we've applied for next month that would really help do a lot with our 4-H kids, sending them to camp and funding some different projects for them. And I also wanted to tell you guys about 2 upcoming programs that we have in case any of your constituents may be interested. We've got a a recreational pond management workshop on August 4th. That is going to be at Pike County Lake. I have a flyer sitting back there, and I've got more with me if anyone needs to steal it. But they're going to learn about how to manage the wildlife in your pond, how to fight different aquatic plants that might be overwhelming different areas. We've got specialists from Auburn coming down to talk, so it's going to be a really good program. We also have another part of our survey, and this is how we operate. Someone came to Extension and said, it's really sad that nobody knows how to sew anymore. And you guys may not think that's as sad as some of us ladies do. But it really is. It's an essential life skill that people really don't know how to do anymore. And so from that conversation with one of our citizens, we've put together a sewing program. We're going to start out with a t-shirt quilt making class, which is just what it sounds like. You bring a bunch of t-shirts, we're going to cut them up and show you how to work a sewing machine and make them into a quilt. So we're going to start teaching that, in my opinion, an essential skill I learned when I was about 8 years old, so I think everyone should know how to do it, and also show people how they can turn that into a business and make a profit for themselves and their families. So that's going on at the end of the month. I've got a flyer back there too if anyone wants more information, but again, we just thank you for your support and wanted to let you know what we have going on.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kate.
Any questions?
Questions or comments? Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Dante with PATS.
Thank y'all for having me.
Come on up.
Yeah, I got it. Wanted to just say thank you guys again for all you've been doing for our system for these many years. Thank you for coming together toward the latter part of last year to make this thing possible. PATS is rolling. We have had some changes as far as our state office, and that's kind of had a lot of holdback on our paperwork as far as funding. Our Mr. Joe Nix, who's our head rural transit state director, he retired. So once that happened, they lost 2 more people in the office, and paperwork got kind of behind. But the blessing about that was, I know some of you guys know Mr. Brooks, Mr. Wiley Brooks. They moved him to his position, and Mr. Brooks he's been a mentor for me, especially back in 2007. He used to come up from Enterprise and try to direct me the right path and try to get this thing going the best that we could. And now he's the head guy for rural transit. And one thing that he did allow us to do this year for fiscal year 2019 is add more money to our budget. And when I say add more money, as far as PATS, in April, the beginning of April, we have to turn in what they call a pre-budget. That's where the FTA, which is the Federal Transit Authority, and ALDOT have to approve the money for the following year. So they have so many transit agencies that they have to have, if we're going to subsidize this money for this agency or this agency. And what he did was came to Troy and talked with me, sat in the office, and he went through our budget. We went through all kinds of stuff, maintenance forms, and he told me directly, Dante, you need to add more here. And he didn't have to do that. I'm just saying he did not have to do that at all. But he did. And back in, July now, 1st of June, federal government, ALDOT approved the money. So that's why it's like it's an increase in our budget this year. But the thing about it is, the local level, if you don't approve of it, then we don't have to have it. But the biggest part about it is the federal government's already approved it. So if we want it, it'll be there. But if not, we don't have to. And that was the biggest thing that I think was a blessing for us to have a guy on that level to come down and give us that money that we will have. But that's been kind of what Pat's been doing, is trying to get ready. We had a bus come in on last week. It was supposed to be delivered back in January, but paperwork from their office got behind, so that was the delay of that bus. But we finally got it here. Lord willing, we'll have 2 more coming next year. So, I mean, that's been our biggest things. We have like 5 or 6 now that's over 200,000 miles. So that's just part of transportation, wear and tear of these maintenance and the vehicles. But I think we're still rolling in the right direction, and if it's because of you guys and our city council and the city of Brundage that helps us fund this thing to keep it going. Our city council, they approved it a couple weeks ago. Brundage, they sent me their letter last week. So, but if y'all have the information, and I know you guys have to talk about it. Mayor Reeves, I talked with him today, and he wants to meet, with any of you guys to see if we can, whatever we can do. If we don't want to do it, we don't. But if we do, let's come to an agreement like we did before. So if you guys got any questions for me, I'm around here to answer some of them for you.
Questions? Go ahead.
So the total budget this year has gone up to $775,000 for PATS.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
I guess our ask is $107,000, which is up significantly
From last year
and increasing. I know it looks like you handed us a list of 39 daily riders.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Approximately. I know you had sent us a list before of about 143 county riders.
That's just right there, Monday through Friday, constantly coming and going. Now, it's more county riders than that.
Yeah, well, I saw where you put on here it was daily. So I was going down through this list, and it looks like you talked about some of it. I counted out of the 143 list you sent us,
Last year.
year, about 29 or 30 of them that we were taking to the doctor.
Okay.
The rest of them look like maybe we're taking all those guys to work. Those
Work.
people to work. Is that
Work. A lot of them last year were work, doctors. We got a lot of people, elderly people that ride with us, and of course they don't go to the doctor every day, but we have plenty. And if you guys would like numbers to call or whatever, they just like to get in there and just go and do what the heck they want to do because they feel like it's their transportation. But we did have a dwindling numbers of last year because of a lot of it was because of that, they didn't know if we were going to continue this thing in the county or it was kind of on a wishy-washy. So, but we are coming back up to those numbers like we did, and that's my goal, to get it back to those numbers.
Well, and the reason I asked the question, because we definitely want in any way we can to help somebody that's got to get to the doctor
Right.
and those kind of things. I noticed here though, you got one employer that you're saying that we've got 10 riders that we're taking daily to work.
Yeah, that's Supreme Oil. What is it?
Yeah, you don't have to mention them, but
Yeah.
have we reached out to that company and said, hey, we're pretty much subsidizing some of your employees? One of the things that we look at is $106,000 out of our total general fund budget, which is only $6 million, is a huge ask.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you start looking at dividing that out. There's 33,000 approximately citizens there, and so according to this list, about 143. It's a huge portion of our budget going to support a small fraction, which is okay if that's something that we have to do. In the daily operations, and we're taking people to work and those kind of things, is that something that's mandated by the grant? Or does the grant give you leeway to say, okay, we're going to take people to the doctor and we're going to take you to work. Things happen, but we can't be your everyday ride to work. Is that allowed by the grant?
No, that grant is specifically public transportation.
For any need, any reason?
For any need, whatever. If the FTA and the ALDOT gives you that money, that's specifically for your county or wherever you're putting that fund into, is to transport those people wherever they want to go, inside that county, rather.
And so I know one of the other things we've been talking about is county riders. Most of this list that I see, and I'm referring to the list you sent us last year,
Yes.
143. I could be corrected on this, but about 10 of them are county to county rides.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Most of them are county to town, to some business in town. So as we, what's the right way to put this? As we kind of look at what we can do funding wise, have y'all taken that into consideration that we don't want to divide this thing up county versus city, because that's not what it is. We're partners in a
Right.
thing. But I know that was part of our discussion last time, is we were looking at county riders versus city riders. But what I'm looking at that is that if we're counting everybody from the county that goes to the city, do you have the inverse list of people you're taking out of the city to the county, and how do you count those? So we can take a broader look, okay. How many riders do we actually have? What are we spending per ride to spend $775,000 of taxpayers' money? The problem we've got, Dante, and the problem I've got, I don't want to speak for everybody, is that I know we talked last year about a lot of information. I know I pulled up an email and I checked with McKinsey. There was a list of, 5 or 6 things approximate that we asked for. We did get this list.
Right.
And then we did get a little more information at budget time this year, but the other things have been left off. So we're kind of still left incomplete with the information that we need to make our decision. And I think McKinsey probably has the request from last year that we can just forward back to Dante.
Is it as far as funding, or what type of numbers are you looking
I'd have to go back. Some of it was some funding information that Deborah had asked for on the accounting end that our auditors need.
That's what I remember. Anything like that, she can send that to me, and I'm just going to send it straight to Alpha Star. I can't get in all that. That's his baby. So
Right. And it may be beneficial for us just to come over and sit down with you on site to talk about some of the riding numbers.
that's
We
fine.
want to make the best decision we can and educated decision for.
Like I said, this is a service that I love to have for our city and county here. But you guys have to make that local decision if you want it or not. I would love to have it and keep it going, because that's what I like to do. Make sure these people getting where they need to go. But like you say, numbers wise, I know it's a lot. But I try to work with what I have and the best way I can. I've had a lot of breakdowns this year, but like I said, we still gonna try to do as best we can with what we got and make these people happy. And if I can help y'all anyway, I will.
So the grant or the program you're under, have we looked outside of that grant or program for additional funding?
As far as
for instance, one of the continuing eds that me and Commissioner Johnson did was a rural health care and rural mental health 2-day event. And they were talking about grants that were available to take people back and forth to the doctor and for equipment to do that, vans to do that.
Right. Right.
Things, other grants that can supplement your budget.
Well, I know for one, you can ask, you two guys wasn't here, but Commissioner, the other 3 commissioners were here. With our mental health, we were able to get in contract, and that can be extra money, but we just couldn't. We never could get it where they wanted to come in to agree with us. But like you said, that is other avenues of that nature. Finding agencies like that. That's another way.
That's all.
Anybody else?
Yeah, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
When this program started, it didn't have no specific, except schools. Everybody had anywhere else to go except they couldn't take kids to school. That was the only way they could be able to get that transit funded here, because of a lot of people. When we first started, that was human resource, DHR, Charles Health, and all the leaders go join in and help us out with this thing. So Charles Henson down at so they was go probably, we got shorter buses, let us use some of their buses, although we had it back in by 2 o'clock. And all that fell through. Then it boiled down to pretty folks run destroy that kind.
That's it.
Right.
And we done already agreed to accept it then. And we got the buses almost nothing. And it actually grew a lot. And some of the companies that had started was going to give extra dollars to transport their employees that didn't have transportation. But I understand it's going up higher, but we still got the sticklers out there that can't get them.
Another thing, Chad, sorry, Commissioner, but I wanted, while you was telling about that, is the VA, they're real interested in it, as far as they send us the thing of so many veterans here that just can't get up to the place. And that's one thing me and Mr. Brooks look at this time, to figure out what we need to do to try to get some good buses where we can take them to Montgomery or Tuskegee to get them there. So that's another avenue that we're looking at to try to bring some more money in, because they will be on a contract. They won't just pay by ride. They will pay us so much money for how many people. So,
Well, I agree. I think transportation, especially for a lot of the things that we've discussed, is a huge issue, and we want people to be able to work, and we definitely want them to be able to get to the doctor. But I mean, it's like any other budget that we have.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we've got a max, and we've got to look at it. And I'm not saying anything as far as funding, not funding any of that. I'm just asking questions to help us better make decisions, because when I get a call from somebody who's mad because I can't pave their road that was
Right.
$40,000 and we spent $107,000 to give 39 people rides, because that's the way some of them will look at it. You know, I need to have all the facts
Gotcha.
so I can make a decision. Or if it's the other way, I need to be able to walk into your office and say, all right, Dante, I've made this decision, this is how I'm gonna vote, and this is why, and give you an informed opinion. And I think that's mainly what I'm after, is everything we gotta have to make an informed opinion. And if Alton is the keeper of the data, and that's where we can't get it from, then, you know, maybe we need to go directly to Alton. And if we send you an email requesting something, if you don't mind, if it's something you can't get us, just reply back, say, hey, these 3 things, could you go to the city clerk for, or, you know, can we forward this to the city clerk, and we'll do anything we can do to help you get there.
Gotcha.
Anything else?
I've got something.
Yes, sir.
You know, I agree with most everything Commissioner Copeland said. You know, what I want to see, Dante, and I know after last budget year when we kind of went through so many layers of figuring out what we could fund, you know, I know that information was requested, and we got to have that.
Yeah.
That was in October of last year, and it's July of this year, and we still don't have that stuff in the files. And I made the comment last year that, you know, if somebody walked in Alton's office, he can hand it to them. If they come in here and ask Deborah for it, she needs to be able to hand it to them as well.
That's right.
And
I agree with you.
but it's July and we haven't got the stuff, and we requested it. And I'm not thinking,
I'm here to take that, so I'll let you know.
We're in a situation, and we talked about this before, it's not that any of us have a problem with this program, but it is the only thing in our budget that we do not, on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, have the ability to sit down with the department head and structure. You know, before the engineer buys something, or before the sheriff's department does something big, they come and sit down with us and say, hey, we see this as a problem. Can you afford to pay for this? How are we going to structure paying for this?
Right.
And when we get budgets the way we've had them in the past, and that was the conversation last year, when we just get a budget and it went up 10% or 15% and we get it right at budget time, we had not had that time to sit down with Deborah or sit down with ourselves and say, you know, what are we going to cut? How can we cut to keep funding this? And that information that we're lacking is a big part of us being able to make decisions throughout the year, so that in May we don't tell Extension or the Sheriff's Department or the Volunteer Fire Association we're going to do something, and then somebody else comes in August and saying, hey, my budget's gone up 15%, and we didn't have that information we needed. Or you want to mean? I want to see, however we play a role in this long term, we've got to, one, play a more active part in just a dialogue. Hey, this is where I'm trying to head. How can y'all do this? I mean, you know what I mean? And that way, if it's something we know there is no way the county can fund this, we can go in and tell you, hey, we can't do all of this. We can do 25% of it. And you've got that way ahead of budget time.
Right.
I follow up what Commissioner Copeland said. You know, I want us, and we should have been doing this throughout the year, and we're going to start this now. However, we got to do it. You know, I want us to sit down with you, with the mayor, however we do, with Mayor Boyd, and look outside of the grants y'all are using and say, if this service can help something over here, is there a way to get additional funding? So, like I just said we don't have a problem funding it, but when it goes up from 70 to 80 to 90 to at some point, if it keeps growing like this, there's going to be a day where we're going to not be able to go any higher. And we need to be looking at other grant avenues to subsidize some of the City of Troy and frontages. And I tell everybody in the room, and we talked last year about this, the city's budget is 4 or 5 times how much larger than ours. So an expenditure that appears to be minuscule, when your budget's a fifth less than another, you know what I'm saying? It's a big deal to us, and it's something we got to start working more monthly on looking at how we handle some of that.
I think that's a great idea. that'll help me out a lot more too as well. If we can come together and do that. But like I said, this budget here is not in stone. It was just money that we can have. If we can't do it, I'll let Mr. Brooks know that, hey, we can't do this much. Thank you for the opportunity, and they'll put the money and give it to somebody else. But I just wanted to let y'all know.
But to take it, we got to be able to subsidize 50% of the administration, or what is it? It's 50% of
50%. 50-50 admin, 80-20 operations.
Are the details of the extra money, how much of it's going to admin and how much of it's going to operation in what you turned into?
The thing that you have is the breakdown from the different local levels.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Dante, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And, we look forward to working with you to try to get all this
Yes, ma'am.
so we can keep going.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Mrs. Diana Baskin, come on up. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Diana Bascom. I'm the president of the Pike County National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. That's the NAACP. I stand before you this evening with a couple concerns from your constituents, not just members of the NAACP, but your constituents. Each one of you are serving commissioners. The concern is the selection process for the county administrator. Now, some of you may say, we have a process, we are going through the process in which to fill the county administrator position. We've read a couple articles published in the Troy Messengers where a number of you chose to interview with Mr. Holmes. Others of you decided not to interview with them or answer questions. But these are some of the concerns that your constituents have. Lack of a written criterion in which to select the county administrator. Number two, lack of a human resource department or staff in which to properly vet candidates competing for the position. Number three, no written process in which to break a tie. For those of you who have served on the county commissioner or as a county commissioners, we all have known for some time there are six. If three votes one way and the other three votes another way, there's a tie. What's the written process in which to break the tie? Now, at a meeting when it was announced that the previous administrator was retiring, I was told, we just found out about it. Well, as professionals, we never just find out about anything. We're all part of professional organizations, and we have to properly plan to backfill, replace employees when one employee is either retiring or perhaps it's just released for whatever reason. However, here within the Pike County Commissioner, we have lack of processes. And as a professional grant organization, we should correct that. Now, the process in which Mr. Holmes has written about, you have answered questions about, I received in writing a note that said, basically the commissioners use their personal discretion on selecting a nominee. Now, we want to believe that the process is fair and impartial. Now, we all have our personal biases. We know that to be true. However, serving the constituents, you are obligated to be fair and impartial. Since we haven't made a decision on our next county administrator, I urge you, I request, in service to your constituents, that we go back to the drawing board and we develop a process that consists of systems in which to select the next county administrator. Do I have any questions from any one of the commissioners? Or comments?
Anybody?
My final statement, please serve the constituents of Pike County in a fair and impartial manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bester. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
Engineer report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We don't have any new business tonight, but under current business, we do have our first item there is personnel, and we have two there. We have a recommendation for the part-time position that we've been advertising for, so that was handed out to you. I don't remember, it looks like this. And then we also have a resignation. The letter is in your package, I believe.
Yeah,
So we need to request permission to advertise to fill that vacancy. And while we're doing that, even after that vacancy is filled, we'll still be one less than where we're promised to be. If you remember, with your the way that we chose to do vegetation management, we promised to be to remove a certain number of positions from our staff. So in order to get to that target that we've been trying to reach, we actually need one more vacancy filled. So we can just do one right now, or we can do them both, but I thought that we could go ahead and save some money on advertising costs and just try to fill both at this time. So, and then under the CDBG public hearing, there is a resolution in your package that you'll need to vote on tonight to give us permission to apply for those. And then under project update, we are requesting to advertise for bids for some of the local road resurfacing projects under your 2-year plan. And if you'll look in your agenda package, there's a list that looks like this. And there's 3 on there. We also want to add the next one in line, if that's okay. That's County Road 2204. And the estimate on that one is $250,000. And we've checked with commission office staff, and they've assured us that cash flow won't be a problem on that. So I guess it's worth mentioning all of those. By the time the work is actually done, we get through the process of advertising and taking bids and, that process that's laid out in the law. By the time we actually owe any money to a contractor, we will be in the next fiscal year, probably either October or November. So again, we're requesting permission to advertise for bids for those 3 that's on the list here, plus 2204, which is the next one in line under that program. And also under the project update,
Thank you.